What is up, my friends? Once again, you are very welcome along to another topical video here on Anfield Agenda to try and get you guys through the international break. If you're anything like me, you will struggle with having no Liverpool content and no Liverpool football to look forward to. So what I've tried to do over the course of this international break is record a series of videos, topical videos, to get you guys talking and hopefully to help us through till the Reds are back in action. So today's topic is, I'm going to be asking the question, were we better as football fans before the introduction of VAR or not? So I'm going to give you my take on it. Of course, we'd love to know your thoughts in the comments section. Do drop a like on the video, and if you haven't already hit that subscribe button. Why not do so? Right, look, let's get straight into it. So, cards on the table. When VAR was first spoken about, did I want it to be brought in? 100% yes. I was fully on board with using the technology because you assume that it's going to be almost a fail-safe. You assume that these errors that we all debated and argued about, whether it be on forums with our mates in the pub or in a cafe or you guys in college or school or whatever, we thought it was going to remove them, right? We were told that this system was going to come in and the VAR were going to make sure that offsides were always correct and that subjective decisions would be kept to a minimum. Because football is always going to have some subjective decision making in it. The referee always has to make a call on how hard a challenge was, should it be a red, a yellow, these type of things. But that's not what's really happened. All to me that has happened since the introduction of VAR is, yes, there has been an improvement in the decision-making process on some decisions, particularly around offside as an example. It's not foolproof, but we have corrected and seen more wrong decisions overturned. You also have to take into account that the linesmen these days are being told to keep their flag down until an attack comes to its natural conclusion, then to perhaps put the flag up or signal if a goal is scored that it needs to be looked at by VAR. So we also have to take that into account when we're having this discussion. But it has in no way removed the debate around refereeing or officiating. If anything, I think it's made semi-celebrities out of officials and led to even more arguments and debate. And the only people, in my opinion, who seem to really benefit from the introduction of VAR are content creators who broadcast the games. How many times have we seen the likes of Dermot Gallagher and Ref Watch or other referees and publications or broadcasters being brought on to talk about decisions? You see it on Gillette Soccer Saturday, which is a great show, by the way. You'll see it on BT Sports and many other platforms. Wherever you're watching this, I'm sure in your own country, your own broadcasters, they'll have a referee or a former referee that they wheel out to talk about decisions. So that's problem number one. Because these guys are there to make sure that the game flows and to add to the game, not to dictate the game, not to be the semi-godlike figures that they like to think themselves to be at times. And I don't like it. I don't like that instead of us removing this conversation, we have a bigger conversation now involving more of the officials. And it's not a situation I thought I'd find myself in. I honestly thought that I would always stay on the side of the argument or the side of the debate to go with technology. But maybe it's partly to do with the incident at Spurs. Maybe I'm still a bit salty and a little bit hurt over that. But I asked myself many times over the last week or two, do I really want a world where every single thing is going to be scrutinised within an inch of its life? And even though these things are supposed to remove subjective decisions around offside and that, they aren't. I'm probably of the mindset, as we sit here right now, that I'd rather go back to the old way. I'd rather go back to at least understanding that referees, linesmen are human and that occasionally mistakes will be made. It felt easier to swallow it or easier to stomach it when you thought to yourself, it's just a mistake. Mistakes happen. Now, when there's a mistake, it leads to more questions. It leads to more sinister questions or conspiracy theories around things. As an example, and I'm going to bring this up again, the incident for Curtis Jones' red card and how that was shown on the VAR screen. I don't feel like that was giving the referee a subjective decision to make. I felt like that was the VAR hub almost saying to the referee, look at this. He definitely needs to go, mate. Look at this. And then, of course, we have to look at the implementation of the VAR protocols and how they're worded. And in the VAR wording around the protocols, it does say that slow motion replays should be for things that need that minuscule level of detail, not for subjective decisions like handball or a red card. Because if you can't notice these things in real time, then they're not clear and obvious. So I have a big problem with how VAR has been used. Look, I like technology in football, and there are certain things that have been brought in that I think have 100% added to the game. Goal line technology has been brilliant. Yes, like anything else that involves technology, once every, I don't know how many thousand times, something will go wrong with the technology and a goal may be missed because of overcrowding on the line or the camera's not being able to pick up the direction of the ball. And again, I'm okay with that, because it's not a fault of an official, it's a fault of technology. But the problem at Spurs for Liverpool with that goal that was ruled out by Luis Diaz, that wasn't down to the technology. That was down to the way the humans use that technology. And when I then found out that the reason why the Premier League aren't able, now I know they voted on this at the club level, but they aren't able to implement the automated VAR offside technology, the AI semi-assistant technology, is because the football that's used in the Premier League is obviously manufactured by Nike. That hasn't been trialled enough to know if it's suitable for semi-automated technology. That makes me very angry as a football fan, because once again we're looking at commercial deals overriding potentially the best outcome for the game and for the sport. So I don't like that technology has its ups and its downs. Goal line technology, I'm all for. What other things, though, would I like to see with VAR, or what other decisions would I like removed from the VAR? Well, again, I'm going to come back to the slow motion. The game isn't played in slow motion, so we need to understand a couple of things when we're talking about this. Football is a contact sport. You can never stop people colliding with each other. Yes, you can take steps to try and make sure people don't challenge from behind, go through the player, things like that. But they're things you should be able to notice in real time. If a referee is to go to a monitor and look for 2, 3, 4 minutes from various angles in slow motion, I think it's undermining the process and it's undermining the spirit of the game. He should be able to go over there, look at that monitor and know instantly from 1 or 2 replays if he wants to stick with his on-field decision or if he needs to change his mind. If you need to go into that level of detail, if you need to really drive down that hard on it, I would argue that you're looking for problems rather than solving problems. So a semi-automated system for me needs to come in for offsides. And then after that, I'm almost going to say let the refs get on with it. Let the referees and the linesmen get on with it. Because the offside's the one that sticks in their throat, right? If a referee sends a player off, then goes to the monitor and changes his mind after seeing a replay in full speed, no problem. If the referee and the linesman use the semi-automated assistants for offside, I think that gives us all the certainty we want in those situations. And hopefully, one last thing I want to speak about, and I watched the piece with Nigel Owens, who was a top-level rugby referee, basically picking apart the fault of the communications in the VAR hub. And I agree fully with what Nigel Owens had to say, that everybody, the broadcasters, people inside the stadium, everybody should be able to hear every bit of that conversation. Because what he said is, it forces the professionalism of the process, it forces people to speak very clearly and transparently because they know the ears and eyes of the world are on them. So I think we can learn a lot from rugby and how they've implemented it. And of course, other sports have done it as well. The NFL have done it, cricket have done it, tennis have done it to an extent. And I think we need that full transparency. What are we protecting referees from? I'm always of the mindset that I don't want referees to be interviewed after a game, as an example. I feel like that is very unfair. But in these processes where potentially an incident is being ruled in favour or against the team, I feel like we, the footballing public, should be able to hear what the officials are saying. I'm not saying they've got anything to hide or not, but it removes that layer of potentially open yourself up for a corruption debate. If everything is really transparent, us football fans, I think, will be a lot more happy about the process. So look, that's pretty much where I'm at. Right now, I'd be all for throwing it in the bin, but I do think we will get rid of VAR altogether. I think it's seemingly here to stay. So what we need to do now is minimalise the interruptions to the game and make sure that if we are going to have the referees going to the monitor to look at things, it's in real time. That's the one big thing that I want to ram home here. This slow motion stuff is nonsense. The only time it should be looked at in slow motion is when the VAR hub are trying to figure out, let's say, what frame that the ball left the player's foot to play a forward pass for an offside decision. Things like that, yes, you need to slow it down, get the exact frame. But not for a challenge, not for a handball, not for anything around a red card. That's nonsense in my opinion. So, my friends, that's my take on it. But now it's over to you. Let me know your thoughts, what you'd like to see implemented or changed around VAR. Would you like to see it removed altogether? Or, like me, do you think it's here to stay and we need to make the best of it? Over to you guys again. Thank you for your time.